Nothing quite turned my life upside down the way that birth control did. I know I've talked about this before, but it has been a little while. I don't know if I will ever be getting back on birth control. The skin tint might be a little bit too dark for me. I once upon a time got on birth control back when I first got married, almost 5 years ago this month. My very first time getting on it was actually right before I got married. My mom actually told me not to get on it in high school because of the side effects that it could potentially have. She was mostly worried about if I were to have like mental health problems, weight gain, etc. My poor husband had to deal with the repercussions of me getting on the hormonal birth control. So I did have the Nexplanon in my arm and I was a little bit afraid of getting the IUD, but because I have such horrible periods, my OBGYN actually recommended me not to get on, I think it's the copper IUD. I have heard other people like the ring. Maybe there are some other options, but some of my side effects after getting on the birth control were actually hair loss, which is very uncommon. I have pretty long hair, so it's very noticeable. And also that did kind of contribute to my mental health because I wasn't feeling good about myself. And Sam and I had also moved to a different state away from friends and family, and this was also kind of during COVID. Didn't really have a support system at the time. Plus I was working full-time and doing school online full-time. I was already like fairly busy, fairly stressed. I remember feeling for the very first time what it was like to not be able to get out of bed. I would complain all day. I was so needy. I was crying every single day. Also experienced one of the scariest things that had ever happened to me, and that was sleep paralysis, which after doing my research on what sleep paralysis is, it all makes sense because it has to do with like a stress or something that happens that interrupts your sleep, I believe. Now that I look back on it, I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, that all happened while I was on birth control. I just feel bad for my husband because he was like, oh my gosh, who did I marry? I had just done a complete 180. You might be thinking like, okay, well, what are you gonna be doing? I do have an Oura ring, we're tracking, using protection, things like that. Plus I'm at the time in my life where I want children. Like I have one already. I feel like if I were to get pregnant again, I'm totally okay with that. Especially now that I have a kid, I just don't think it's worth going through everything that I went through. We already have to go through the entire birth process and have our hormones get all out of whack. Getting pregnant, I did experience some of the hormonal changes, but I do feel like it was actually more manageable than when I was on birth control. If you guys have had a positive experience with birth control, I would love to hear more. Anyways, there's kind of my story, but this maybe does help anyone. But yeah, love you guys.